It hurts.
Oh,
You have to sacrifice pain for your beauty.
okay.
Oh, it's,
It hurts. I get digging in a little bit right there.
Okay.
Maybe I've gone numb. It's even still there.
It is.
There you go. All right. As it's comes out.
there you go.
Oh, look, we're blurry. I love it.
There's screen.
The IT team,
Right on.
the IT team thing is.
That's the one I want. I go with it. Microphone on there. USB.
Half the people want here. Okay, I think we're ready. Okay, I'm Jane Mulvihill Jones. I'm the director at Mala, the American Library. My call it Mala. Either. So, many of you here do the actual day-to-day. So we'll do a lot of questions and answers about that. So think about all the burning questions, like, oh, the thing about this, I really want to know, ask me, give you a good answer. Say, let's talk to you. And then I'm just going to go to our website. There's lots of hidden things on here. You're hidden in that we hide them, but that you don't think like, oh, there's things. So we're going to kind of just look at that. I'm sure there's some burning questions about fees, courier service, also those, that's really. So, but we'll just start with that. So first off, does anybody have like, I would go to the smaller presentation because I wanted to find out. Not that question, let's get that out of the way. Because I tend to run over when there's the last meeting ran over, so I'm not gonna run over, I'm gonna be very prompt. So let's have anything you really want answered, let's ask it right now. Otherwise, I'll just move on. I assume you're gonna talk about the RFP, because that was my. Well, I'll talk about that right now. So, we went out to the RFP for those that are new to the Missouri library world. That is a proposal out for our contracted right now at Henry. And we are required by the IMLS grant. To go out for bid every year. And so this was for mid year. And so we had 5, I like to call them contestants. They don't like to be called contestants, I'm sure. And we ended up with the same 2 bids that we had last time because many people don't realize what it entails. One of them ended up helping out one of the bids, one of the other. Actually, 2 of them kind of not partnered with them, but kind of gave some like suggestions to that actually they did. And then one was like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think you said that. Good job. So they were very nice. They're mostly on the team. I was like, it's a great state. You have to learn how to somewhere. I was like, oh, so we can do that. So we had staff come in and we come in and we had been bought by Capital Express. We call it Capital One. Capital Express out of Omaha. They are, they have worked together for a while and they've been partners. And so it gave Capital Express access to Missouri routes and Henry business bigger access. So they kind of get a lot of change and then they gave us some stuff. And we have some flags for you. It was like a glass. Three little bottles of glass beer and one of the phone things that is your item. What's the old Henry logo on it? So I was like, we never had anything, and then she pulled it out, and I'm like, yeah, like I took it home to my husband. He's like, what is this? It's my gift. But so Henry came in much lower. They did come in with the biggest exciting news that worked out with the game changer tracking. So in the bid that was not 32% higher. So they, the one company who I had long conversations with was, they did tracking, and so they know that he, yeah, so like, you know, and so they were able to kind of say, we don't want to bid, we would have to contact that, but we're gonna help them with the software for the tracking, because they already track all their other deliveries, all that from the delivery. We were their only customer, because they just couldn't quite figure out how it would work in libraries. So they gave us an example of some libraries on the East Coast that is already using it, and it looks very beautiful. So I'll tell you, in the meeting, I'll probably have some more info about how that will work. It's going to be a little more lift on the library side, but I think it's going to be so worth it. We could not afford them to track it warehouse store. That would have been tough. The million items. So what we agreed to in the bid price is it will be scanned when it's picked up at your library, and then it will be scanned when it arrives. You will have access to see, you know, the day you pick it out, what time it is picked up, and the day it arrives. And you'll be able to see that daily. Oh, look, something that I have to stand on, you know, March 1st, March 20th, and give them that bar so they can just go ahead and just look at the bag, but don't look open the bag when this thing is 25 books that might be in the warehouse. This will be able, they will be able to say, through the barcode, oh, there's this thing. So, hoping that works. It may be kind of like our stats for executive stats for Lobia. But I anticipate this will be a little less significant, because you're going to have something on your screen that you're going to access to our website that you will do your barcode. And so that's just going to take, you know, if you're a small library, it may be harder because you don't do as many. So it's always like, but it's very much, it's one solid. Come out and help you and do whatever. Yeah. Not every item, every bag. So every bag, so however you're using it. So this is, you'll be able to find what you want to do. They have libraries. Food, you know, they have a bag with 5 items in it. There's a note field. The bar can scan that barcode on the bag. Or that's what I'm doing. And, you know, they list what's in it. They know what's in it. Lots of libraries can, you can figure out what's in that bag. They have other ways to check that. Yeah. So the labels will be very different. So, they're going to have more information. They're going to have the library it's coming from on it, not with them. And they'll have the library it's going to. They'll have the date that you scan that barcode right on. So, and so if you scan the day before, you know that you're the library to do that the day before. No, they're not like working. We can be like, oh, let's not, you know, ours are always do it. The day before that. But when it can, it will have this time on the computer to say what day it was. The label may say March 18th, so what you're looking at is
So are the drivers scanning this? Or
the drivers are scanning, and they are already scanning all their other deliveries. So this could also help with, you know, those sub drivers who never seem to know what they're going to get into when they come. it will all be on the tablet that you don't see, but they carry in their all of the pharmaceuticals, all of those things. And so they should know, I'm going to West City, they've got 40 items every day. So when I go in and it's not, they can't find it, or they're like, this is only one item. Theoretically, they should be like, oh, wait, I just asked if I made a list that was expected of 40 items.
Or no, you don't necessarily know what the drug, but like, how does this compare to that? Like, are they doing multiple bags for those?
I'm
companies, so they know
I'm
that,
guessing so, yeah.
like, I'm
Yeah.
sending out 150 bags. a day.
Right, yeah, because these, the libraries that are using this on the East Coast are people,
Okay.
Princeton, New Jersey,
Right.
so these particular libraries should know because they're picking up 150 items, but it's gonna take a day or two. Yeah. So it's gonna be that's why even though our new contract starts July 1st, we may not start this right on July 1st, we'll see how well, we may take some practice libraries just to say, you know, try this, it won't, you know, it's not gonna help with the tracking when it's not everyone. Get at least one of the other. The barcodes are just printed in the so that will mean you'll no longer able to have those staff away. All of these will be, it'll say, coming from West City, going to Neosho, you know, and it'll have the barcode and the QR. Well, they suggest, and again, we'll get into more of this as it actually unfolds, but they suggest doing the whole back and then you just print off. Here in this video. 15. So you're just doing a whole run. So, you know, 125 libraries, all of these different countries. So as we find out more about how this software works, we'll be keeping you call us and be like, we're the library that does it this way. How do you see this working? And some of you have, you know everyone department, or you have a designated person. And some of you have all of my success. So how will we use this? But the library don't need to use this, and there's someone who does it already. You know, they're comparable size. They're comparable kind of role. They'll get it all the little bugs worked out. So that's why it's probably not gonna start right on the line. I'm in the middle of someone doing role in some of the time. But that's the exciting news. The other ones that also has a version of that, they were just both of them did not have giant. About them a little bit more into the year by 9 minutes per month. So now it is only work. So, well, so we have an RFP. We're still working on the contract. Contracting is going to be the problem. Yeah. Is the only way it works. Right. That is, and I've done my have a whole bag to take not. I had a key. That is my hoping dream. However, we're dealing with people. They'll still be, because somebody got so much medicine the other day. So, it still happens. And, you know, people rush. A lot of those things happen on the warehouse, and we can figure out what's on the finger, and somebody reported probably couldn't be in the area. We'll do that in September, talking about that, I'm sure. So, you know, some of you have had no, but many of you have had issues that, you know, 20 others were missing. And one thing we do, sort of, at least now we have a lot more information we can give, and we can identify, hey, what's picked up on this day? And so you will know who's been there, or they will have a. But you will know. But where? That would have kept us so late. Okay, so here is our website. And we can go to About Us. Not my computer, so I'm gonna find everything without interrupting the Zoom. So this just gives our office hours per year, gives our staff. We all have our own phones at our desk, so if you want to really just talk to Marcy or me, you can just call that, or you can call the main line. We also have all of our voicemails roll into our email, so if we happen to be away, we can see it. This doesn't have a lot of people that you need on a day-to-day basis, or even too often, but there is our people on our board and our council. If you ever have a dying urge to be on our council, let me know. Usually we're just saying, would you like to be on our council? Please, we only have 3 meetings a year. So, the thing we're mostly going to focus on is the Courier service one, but we're going to just pop over to that professional development. Just so you can see, this is where our upcoming webinars are listed. You can see the past trainings we've had. You can go to the Niche Academy there. You can go to Pro and look at former webinars. So we have quite a few on there. But since this isn't logged into me, you're not going to see much when I click on it. We have a link to the archives of the professional collection at the state library. And then we have an info about our NAWA Pro membership and the rates. And right now we're offering a little discounted rate for the end of the year. It will end on April 1st. Do it until April 1st. But we may get the early bird discount for next year. And we don't do anything because of so many people that are somehow doing so. Now, we also advertise jobs, and we also have news. So the news is just our newsletter. And the state library. So it makes it sound like it's way more community than it is. And if you're not receiving our Courier newsletter, let me know. Get to sign up. The Courier service. This is where we are always going to refer you almost anytime you call it to a variety of things. Office hours again, but here's our forms. So the one that's red, what Courier is that? That's the one you're going to use the most. It is where you're going to say, I'm having carpet replaced next Tuesday. I don't need it. That's where you're going to say, where you're going to say, my driver has not shown up yet, and it's 2 hours after the week. You're going to put your contact name, your library name. We are going to email something back to you. That's why we need an email of people. And if you're the person who's like, it's 5 o'clock and I'm meeting this, but I'm not going to be here tomorrow to get the email, you might want to put your email on it, or a coworker who's going to be like, I don't know, 2-week vacation. We just want to have somebody to look at it, because we're going to probably have a follow-up question for you, or we send you information from Henry about it. So just make sure, we don't really care if it matches that you're like, my name is Jamie, I'm going to put Marcy's email on it. You just want to be able to the Courier state, like for the driver issue, we will be like, we'll immediately contact Henry. they'll give us an answer, we'll send it back to you, they may have a question for you, like how to be there, they can come back, but it's not the result 5:30, so that's why we want to be get the conversation going. And then the courier issue. There's more things. This is where you're also going to request supplies. You're going to tell us the issue. You might be closed. There we go. Yeah, so closing schedule team, that's not necessarily holidays. Holidays we put on a different thing because we look through those out. Unless all of a sudden, you know, city is going to cover. Like, so library closing is more like our parking lot, the street of ice, we are closing. We thought we were gonna be open, but we're not. No way. Or we are open and now it's becoming a street of ice, so we're closing right now. So any of those things, or we just aren't open at all. We bed bugs, we have people like this, couldn't get enough staff in the library, all of those. Also the ones that are like, hey, we've got new HVAC coming in this week, we're not doing it. Well, we might be open, but there's nobody in that part of the building. So we pass all of that on. And then for anything to stop, if you can have enough info and it's great. So, no, our driver is always here at 10. I know I'll be there from 9 to noon, from 11, you know, we're just rather than wait till after the window closes, but if it's a meeting or whatever, and you need to report it early, we'll probably reply to it. Just wait till noon, but we'll still kind of think about it. Just maybe one. And then it's from our here. And so, all of them. So they have long routes, and sometimes they have to be at the top and their cell phones don't work. And we'll figure out if they'll let us know, oh, they're still on the way, they're just delayed, or size subzone for the reason. And then we'll figure out, depending on how many days we have work. And so, those, sometimes the end of the day comes, and they find, like, there's a big gap of when usually you have to take one tomorrow, they say yes, we could do it, but yet by the time it all gets corresponded, it's already the next morning. Sometimes it's, most of the time it's fine, but there is some time when you see the community very late days, that you do it. If you are a 5-day person, you just say, you know, there's no schedule. Right, exactly. Well, it's a more complicated answer than that, but yes, so depending on how many days a week, the stop is not paid for, and depending on if you're fully funded by the grant, the state library just doesn't just take it out and it's not really funded to it. If you are 5 days, there's some formula that we then divide who gets what, and then we issue a check just once a year. And last year was like, could we issue it earlier? So we're probably going to issue in May, just because of closing books and stuff. And then that will be when we kind of get to the kind of cost people money wise for you. It might be that May and June at a different price. Well, that's what she thinks will be easier. So we'll do that this year, and then next year we'll see which one that's the better way to do it. Was it easier to just this? And you know, bulk of our libraries are 2-day fully funded by the state, so it is not a lot of libraries that are 5-day, but with all the Evergreen, there's more and more. And then supplies request. So I have 4 libraries that brought supplies for their down by Mary Kay's table downstairs. So make sure you see those. that's where you put them normally, and you can be as specific as you want. You can be like, I need 100 bags, probably not gonna be able to give you 100 bags, but you then and Katrina will have a conversation of, well, this is what we have on hand right now, we'll give you 30 this week, we'll give you 30 next week, we'll give you 100 this, just, it ebbs and flows. So, but if you only are a library that only uses small bags, then just say I only consume small bags. If you're a library that uses large bags, we usually have a variety of aspects, but sometimes we run low. So on that note, if you have a closet that you're holding extra bags, then we do. So we appreciate it. They are not usually the everyday library, but sometimes they are. We have one that not me, and sends them once a month, like, sends them out like 100. We'll take them, and whenever they come, it's fine. So, also if you need posts, somebody needed, a dozen posts, which is a kind of high amount. We never send that many. We will just make a note and then send you to this day and to another day. You might send 3, but really we send 4. And it's not so much that we don't have a post to send you, it's that they take up a ton of room on those driver's physical. And, we're just trying, so then they tend to sometimes when we send too many, they just get left behind because we don't have room. And then we're tracking down those. So we have found after trial and error last year that just sending 2 or 3 will tie them together. So can you get to it? We are not located at a warehouse, so we are in the parking lot of the public library. So when we say we've sent them out, it actually just means that in our staging area to be taken by a courier, by our courier to the warehouse. And by the time our courier is in the morning, that those loads have already headed out to the other warehouses. So you're already 2 days in by the time you set. We said that it's really, if it's there the next day and then it goes out. And so we have had people contact us like on the 3rd day. Well, they're not here. But they just don't realize we're not at the warehouse. We're not, we don't. So we would, so there is a built-in. And then depending on how many days. So we say, we say, so don't wait till you're out. In that, and we will be sad in that too, but not able to help you. So more out, but those will still be delayed. So those are those kind of things. Anybody have used this and have any weird errors with it or weird concerns of what's happening? This is why we ask everybody to not email me. I'm on the office today, so if someone emails me today, say, hey, I need some posts. It'll be reminded. So if you put it on this form, Rena sees it, Marcy sees it, and I see it. So no matter who, there's never. But somebody is looking at it. That's why, and we still have people with snow closing, so I'm like, ooh, that's the one we really want to get. So try to bookmark this on your phone or user friendly on the phone. There are also snows out. So in that, if you can't do it, call or leave an email, but this is the preferred way. And things just don't get lost because what these come in with you, they come on a legal form, and then we make notes and write on it. We contacted Henry when we resolved it. We were waiting for the answer from him. We put the bags in to the delivery. All of that happens, right?
That's pretty big number. So we have about 12 going in out in the so we're only 2 days a week. So anyway, our biggest borrowers, borrowers are literally when sitting in the market. Because they're right there. And so that's what we use those extra codes for. We have special codes that just right in. And stuff when it's yeah. And then it just goes back and forth. Yeah, we keep it in the deal. And it works great.
Yeah.
So, we made a concerted effort to put all of it, yeah, because it's not even very large, because you would think it's it,
Right.
not because it's like a sort of, but, no, it's, so we kind of made this whole inside Southwest Missouri kind of thing.
Yeah.
Work very
Yeah,
well.
that's great.
Yeah.
And that's what I encourage you to, we never will ever know your story. The tax, the way the tax laws, they're contracted with subcontractors, we're not allowed to interact with them or contractors with that. Henry and have that role. And, so we can't, but you can tell it, the Courier, hey, please just put your van here. We encourage that because they're kind of coming in like, what are you going to do that library? They will do whatever you want. But most of them want to do what you want them to do, put it where you want them to put it. So, yeah, I can suggest, relationship going to whoever is in, because they will also for you on job searching. Usually isn't true, but.
Well, they do.
Yeah, yeah, it's usually by the time it gets back to us and we've contacted them. And, kind of, they're not really getting any interaction with the bosses in their house, but sometimes they are, So, yeah, so be friends with your courier or coworker. So, now. I'm gonna look at them. Yeah, I'm gonna get the next little person, statistics. And I'm going to show you what we do with your statistics. So again, you would like to try to put. But maybe for more and more to do that. You can do this for a lot today. After a Monday or Friday, you know, so we're gonna ask you, and that's again, sometimes, let's say your Monday, you do 7, you report 14. If you want to be able to come back to maybe, or are you having 1400, or was there some special thing that you after that? Your name, you put the date, you put just what name. Is there a question? Your home library, individual items, and then this is where we have. So, the individual items. Thousands. Mobius, two of those thousands were Mobius. Kokomo. Here's Kokomo. You know what you mean in Kokomo. It is totally different. You remember, just put it on the tray, not in a bag. You will know. It's just not like Mobius. It's like that. And Amigo is like that. The labels, but Kokomo is very different. So for a while, we had some libraries that said, they did 200 items, and then all along, they said, so I think we got everybody on the right page. Just kind of remember that first number is. And then at the end of the month, I don't have it on the page, so I can't say it. But at the end of the month, we put it in a spreadsheet and we track it monthly. And so you're going to random. If you're a 3-day library, that much to do. But this is kind of towards the trending, fairly Or even bigger ones, because they have some collection about that music. So then we wait about 4 or 5 minutes. When the library came on board. We have yet to see this. So we've got some of the older, established Evergreen libraries being used, and some being used. So it's kind of interesting about this stuff. That'll be pretty sticky. And that's usually when we see the meeting. But on this step, it's total bit, you're going to see the month of the next document. And then I share that with Janet at the library. And we keep an eye on it for how many days of service we have. And so we have established a number of volumes that, you know, went out in the RFP. These are the libraries, these are the addresses, these are how many days we have, and here's how many steps. So with that information, they should be able to route that. Unfortunately, some of the problems this year was, 15 in October, all of that information was to, last year, processing for one. And nobody had any idea what was happening. So that meant some routes were changing in the middle, so not so, I don't get nothing that different. So that's why it's so important. And that's why it's so important to have the appropriate number of days of service. Community capital express is not a big company. We don't have to semis, we don't have to panel trucks, we have to, so we have to be able to sell them with amount of items are moving, and because recount items not bad, because we just never know. I mean, they just need enough to even buy it. So it's about that time of year that we're looking at that, and so it's a safe Sunday, Janet makes sure it's with the team. I'm not putting her on the target package. And look, she's lined up on. It's all in. Exactly. We have conversations. I make suggestions. We try to look at maybe where they are on the route. We have the volume numbers, which I once in my sharing with you. And we are, it's not like, let's say the cutoff is 6,000. If you do 6,000, we're not going to make you probably out of it. There's always a range between 40 days. But what you don't want is, what is terrible is if you don't have the appropriate number of days, and they just can't handle your stuff. Or they handle your stuff, and the rest of the libraries on the route who do have the appropriate days don't get their stuff put in their vehicle because they got all of this. So that's why we do a process. For this year, I think we have everybody, it's going to be one exception, pretty much doing the appropriate. Is it a cost? So that will be probably things you'll see in the next month or two. Maybe sooner, maybe conversation sooner if you can see. It looks like you're going to be. And we've already had a couple people, call in saying, I think I need another thing. What's the appropriate, what's the amount? And we can give you a range, but right now, until we get everything on the route with what kind of stuff we'll have, sections, we don't have any actions. So we can give you though what it was, what we think it's going to be. So, and we're happy to do that anytime, because when libraries won Like sometimes we won't say to you as an evergreen, when you like, okay, you're gonna need to start off on day one with more days. But we will say, we'll probably be in touch with you in a few weeks. And then, and it depends on if you're gonna be a private day or a private day, so. We keep pretty close eye, pretty much all the time, we stuff. Just because that's often the good, the getting the delivery, the libraries of this type of volume that we understand. The whole other, so I think the MLP is already 5 days already. And that's a different conversation that you need to get what drivers are doing. You can switch drivers or whatever. So, but there's no, they're not a, I don't think they have anybody to drive for them that's not driving their own system. A few times they will bring out. They brought out a rental truck. To deliver. But, yeah. Yeah. So, I don't wanna throw, I never wanna throw people under the bus. It was really, but, yeah, so. I actually thought their bid was gonna come in higher, knowing that we had added those libraries, but it did not, so that's good. Okay, we're getting down, 10 minutes left, see what else I have to definitely talk about. So, lost, damaged, or found items. So, this comes up, we've got a pretty good system down. If your items are missing, you're like, things are arrive, we have you, put it there, we're in contact with you. But when it's just still missing, the faster way is that other report with the drop down that we look at multiple times a day, because when it's not missing very long, it's a good chance for community time. So we like to just get that process a little bit started a little bit earlier. So here you're gonna just, we're not that create a drop down. We follow the ALA interlibrary loan manual, which is in here, which means when you put an item into the library, you're taking the risk. And so what we will cover if it's law is if there is, like, you send out 40 items one day and they didn't get any of those items, that's a problem. You send out 40 items and one item we could have done the library, it could have happened. So that's why we have these. The same with damage. It has the ILL manual that everybody uses is, it has to pretty much be egregious damage. Here's one that says gasoline was spilled. And they thought it was on all of them, and it only was on one item. But of course, when you open it, I'm sure it was gross. And I used to have to go see multiple libraries. Yeah. So, and it turned out that actually when they aired it out, it was only one item that was damaged. That we're gonna cover, because that it clearly is, egregious doesn't mean it was purposeful. You need to probably slow down, so, in rain, sometimes that happens. We have odd things with tire tracks on the bag, so that's an egregious thing. But if just a few pages are lightly damaged, we're not gonna reimburse it. Because we have to balance how much of, how do any of us know what it looks like? We don't. So we go with the pretty much, this is disgusting, and no one, no matter what kind of library worker you are, would send a book out looking like this. We all have different variants of what our stuff in our library looks like before we saw it. So we try to just look for things that are good. And we usually don't need to have them sent to us to make that decision. So if you like photos, we might follow up with, hey, can you just turn it a little way so you can see that for better thing?
before I was there, they used to, remember they used to have them all sent in, but they're already water damaged and now they're running around in the Courier for another few days, by the time they get to us. Exactly, and we don't even have like a dumpster, we just have a little trash can that like our drivers have to carry to the Mid-Continent dumpster, so we really don't want them. So, yeah, generally, photos, all of them. The other thing is, it has to be handled pretty quickly, so. I think it's maybe, I'm sure it's not, but sometimes we reply with, okay, we need an invoice, and nothing, it's like, nothing comes back. And so then, like, Henry doesn't want to pay for something from 6 months ago, because they really can't follow up with their driver or what happened. So unfortunately, if we don't follow up with answering our questions or that, we just kind of think, well, then we decided it wasn't that big of a deal. And then it's not that big of a deal for them. You get something that says, you know, she's a lovely person, but it's frustrating for her to send out emails and just, you know, stuff like that. You've asked them, sometimes you kind of go, right, I need this right now. And then right now she's not there. And the more information you can give us on these things, is better. That's the goal. Okay. So, there's one more thing I want to show you, and then we can follow up with any questions. This is the holiday form, and the report loss or damage, they're all the same. This is drop down. And this just shows the holidays. So we have our holidays put review every year with this. More and when we're closed, like, yeah, and a lot of you are closed on holidays, we're not closed. Just picking out things on there. So we have 5 minutes, 6 minutes. If you've got any more burning questions that I brought up? Yeah.
So, like, we sometimes outside of stuff.
Yes.
Would we still be able to do that, or would we?
You know what, that's an excellent question. I think you'll be able to adjust when you print two labels, like on your print. Yeah, yeah, I think so. Or the other thing is you could, or you could print it in another, you know, you could just export to like copy and paste it out, so you go. Yeah, that's a great question. That did not come up in our discussion. But, and I'm glad someone's doing that. Yeah.
What is the process?
Yeah. Yes, we love you. Yeah.
Problem. What is the process for adding more supplies?
So, yeah, so this, what I would recommend for you, and really a lot of the 5-day-a-week people, often what used to happen is the 5-day-a-week we kind of figure out, okay, this is about what we do every time, we get this amount of stock in, we ask for refills once in a while, but we're getting things back and forth, so it kind of balances out. I don't think that's happened yet for this. And you've got a couple big libraries and a couple smaller ones. So that's, I'm really talking about the big libraries. So, the best thing to do is really try to keep track of what your normal week whatever it looks like, and keep all of that in stock, and build that stock up now. Be in touch with the team and be like, I need to have, I need 200, because I'm not getting enough stock. It's going to be more out there. And then we can work with you to get it as fast as possible. It's the hope that we have to they wanted like 20. And so we just have a little calendar, then 3, then 3 more. So we can do all of that. It's just bags we can usually send in our quantity and we don't mind doing it.
not anymore. Yeah, we have three different sizes. We also have all. It took us a while to figure out, but we knew to have some on and right all the time, going to work constantly out and having to stuff right there. So I think the problem that something to do with the thing is just the hope. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, this, because we can see that we just want to know. But we can send 10 to 40. Three works fine, 4 is just a little bit. Yeah. Right. So we don't have individual routes, but we have where. No, they're about changing up the thing that, but this was down a little lower on that first page. And let's just look at Columbia Warehouse. And they'll bring you up a stop. And it will also tell you. But the days of what else, remember, because that also becomes, it's like if you're a 5-day library. You may be sending things that you're using from a 1-day library, and that is crazy. But I'm gonna make a note to ask Katrina, because I thought it was on for how many days they were. You have it on the other document, this isn't my computer. Yeah. We can. Any other questions? So as always, follow us. Thank you all. I never did the state map. Isn't that crazy? Oh my God.